And welcome back, everyone. It's the end. Well, technically, it's the beginning of November, but the end of October. Whenever comes to an end during the week of Who Would Win, and it starts like a couple days into the end of the month, I usually just extend out the week of Who Would Win. So we're on speed round 35. So let's get to it, folks. Coming to us from, let me get the name here. What's that name now? Daniel R. We have the question of who wins in a fight? Agent 47 from the Hitman games, Hitman 47, versus Deathstroke. There's a reason it's a speed round. Again, reason he's going to speed round, folks. Deathstroke would make mincemeat of Agent 47. Now, I don't want to hear, oh, he's a super scientifically engineered. He's got all this. Yeah. So Deathstroke's literally taking down the Justice League. And by the way, if you're going to be one of those people, it's like, that's because of bad writing. I absolutely hate the bad writing argument. It is because first off, bad writing is completely subjective. Like, yeah, there could be a group consensus, but someone could still think it's really good writing. First and foremost, bad writing is subjective, and that's the biggest thing. Beyond that, though, I don't give a shit if it's bad writing. It happened. It's a quantifiable thing we can use in a versus debate. Whether or not you like that thing means jack shit. So I don't want to hear a goddamn thing about bad writing. I see it pop up every once in a while from being like, your argument is completely irrelevant. Just like the person who tried to say this battle is a mismatch with the snipers I did last week because Deadshot's universe scale is much higher. That's a completely irrelevant statement because Deadshot doesn't have any feats that scale up to what you're saying. I hate competently incompetent people. I feel mean I'm saying that. I shouldn't say that. That's someone who I think their opinion is just wrong. That's my thought on that. But when people start to like try to use that as actual facts, I'm like, that's no. So yeah, Deathstroke is taking down the Justice League. He's taking down into Batman multiple times, who is far and away more skilled than Hitman for Agent 47. Like, it's just not a contest. Okay. Then coming to us from Sonic Blue Flash, we got, Nia Teplin from Gurren Lagann versus Starfire. She's from Gurren Lagann. She is even found her to be a threat. If Simone, the guy who stacked upon infinite universes and all that, can be a threat and find you a threat on some level, even if she's among the weaker cast, she's still someone with spiral power and therefore really just surpasses Starfire in outright combat or power outright. So yeah, no, Nia would take that fight. Then coming to us from King of Trolls 36, Adult Gon versus Michael Myers. Again, this is pretty obvious. Adult Gon would dog walk Michael Myers. Even if we're going with peak Michael Myers at his strongest, Michael Myers just moves too slowly. We're talking about characters who now have subsonic speeds, strength to blow holes through forests. Michael Myers is not tailored for fights like this. And people will argue, obviously, and say, well, there's the Cult of Thorn and Michael's the boogeyman. First off, the Cult of Thorn is only canon to the first 6 movies. Let's get that out of the way right now. Once you get into H2O, Resurrection, and the Rob Zombie stuff, and the recent 3, it means nothing. Even if I did go the Cult of Thorn stuff, that doesn't mean he wins. It just means he might survive the attack. So, yeah, because I know I'm going to get the people who argue that. I know for a fact I am. So I need to be very clear about parameters and like limitations of characters. So yeah, Gon wins that fight. Then coming to us from Newborn Viking, Gore the God Butcher versus Guts. Gore can literally fight beings on a multiversal level scale like Thor. Guts can't even actually beat hell. He struggled so hard. He can play through demons and gods of his world, but Marvel just scales way beyond. This is where that scaling argument comes into, to go back to the Deadshot comment. This is where scaling comes into effect. He scales the multiversal characters like Thor, for God's sake, and has beaten Thor on multiple occasions. So, yeah, no, Gore takes that fight, no problem whatsoever. Then from James, just James, we have the Tar Man from, I believe it's Return of the Living Dead, versus Nosferatu. Let's be honest. See, this could be more interesting if it wasn't for the fact that Nosferatu is, capable of just moving faster than Tarman is, and physically, the Tarman's really not that much stronger than a human. I think the most you could say is because he's dead, his body's limitations aren't really as heavy, so he can push himself harder without risking damage because he's already going to be damaged. He's melting, for God's sake. Nosferatu, though, can easily just rip him apart. And yeah, I would say that unless the fight goes until dawn, Nosferatu wins. Then coming to us from, was it Cod's Cob or Cod's Cod? We have Diablo from How to Summon a Demon Lord versus Palkia from Pokemon. If it's lore level Palkia, that's a much more difficult fight, and I think there could have been an argument made here. Because this is the Pokemon that is representation and controls all of spatial existence. However, based on everything I can find from, even in Pokemon like movies, he's not shown to be as powerful as that alleged lore backs up. But that being said, apparently Diablo is just kind of like the islands of his world, like the overpowered character of his world. And he has so many things going for him, things like counter magic, manipulation, things along those lines. I probably would give it to him. Then coming to us from Mr. 507, we have the question of who wins in a fight. Fred Flintstone versus Fred Jones. Fred Flintstone is a caveman, literally moves a hundreds of pound car at high speeds with just his feet and massive amounts of power. He's just physically would just wreck Fred in a fight. Fred might be smarter than Fred might be smarter than Fred, but that's really all. And even then, Fred's really just a product of his time. Fred Flintstone is smart enough. Like, he can function. So the only way Fred even comes close to beating Fred Flintstone is outsmarting him and putting him in a trap. And hopefully that might work. Then coming to us from Diego Lorente, we got the question of who wins in a fight, Galactus or Cthulhu. This is one of those cases where the Lovecraftian lore can't help the character. Normally, the elder gods scale to like umpteenth degrees of power. But Cthulhu, as powerful as he is just a grand priest of, at least it's a grand priest, right, of the old gods. As powerful as he is, the reality warping he does possess, Galactus scales to infinite multiverses and beyond. Cthulhu does not. Cthulhu straight out does not scale that high, as powerful as he is. So, yeah, no, Galactus would make mincemeat of Cthulhu. I have very little doubt. Then coming to us from, was it Epic something? So I really got to try to get better handwriting here. We have Raven versus Charmcaster to magically. That Raven literally can be a omniversal level threat, whereas Charmcaster is a powerful sorceress. It's got to go to Raven. Then from user Y5, I think it was, back before I realized I could click on the actual name of the user and actually find the person. We got Darwin from the Wild Thornberries versus Odie from Garfield. Look, take the Toon Force stuff out of the equation, which is what you got the cartoon physics going on, at least in Garfield. Take that out of the equation. Despite how Odie's depicted in the movie, Odie's usually depicted as being pretty dumb. Darwin is still a chimp. Darwin is still pretty capable. And even if Odie is as smart as he is here, a chimp would tear a dog like him in half, literally. Like, seriously, a chimp is way stronger than a dog Odie's size. So I give that to Darwin. Then coming to us from, I believe it's Harley Badger. We have Chucky versus Stewie Griffin. This will actually be an interesting fight depending on how you're looking at Stewie. Stewie has one-upped far more capable individuals than Chucky, but Stewie could also be susceptible enough to Chucky's influence and charm and charisma that he does fall for getting his soul taken or just killed outright. I would say the majority of the time we've witnessed Stewie, I would give it to Stewie. He is skilled enough to fight someone like Chucky. He's got more than enough inventions to just take out Chucky. Hell, he'd probably even study him at some point and be like, see if he can extract like the evil spirit or something. So yeah, Chucky wins, or Stewie, I think, wins the overall of that fight. Then coming to us from, who we got here? Isaiah Green. We got Spawn versus Blue Beetle. Even base, I got Divine Spawn here, but even base form Spawn would make mincemeat of Blue Beetle. Power-wise, Spawn is just on a level that Blue Beetle cannot comprehend. Sheer magic alone would be too much, I think, for the Scarab to handle. Not to mention the scale which he fights at. And then if we're even going into Divine Spawn, we're now going into a guy who shakes all of heaven and creation. So, yeah. Then coming to us from, I believe it's Luke Slaughter. Oh, no, sorry. I got one other one. Not that one. Coming to us from Vixie Fox Charm. We got Kim Possible versus Number One. Kim Possible is, well, we even see that there are teenage operatives of the Kid Next Door who work in secret. But Kim Possible is literally see, the thing about the Kids Next Door show is that there's always strong implication about the show that everything everyone's showing off, or like these inventions and everything, and like fighting zones, is just the interpretation of the world from a kid's perspective. It's all in their head. Like nothing we're seeing is actually as extreme as it really is. But even if it was, Kim, in just a straight fight, would whoop Number One's ass. She goes toe-to-toe with people like Shigo and the monkey guy. I can't remember his name. And she's, again, physically more fit and developed, so she literally is just got a more physically capable body than he does. So, yeah, she beat his ass. Then we have from, this one I believe was Luke Slaughter, right? Yeah, Luke Slaughter. We got Spinosaurus versus Gustav. And by the way, the interpretation of Spinosaurus is up for debate. But yeah, no, Gustav is just a Nile crocodile. An extremely large one. Even a small Spinosaurus is still way larger than that and probably eat Gustav. So yeah, Gustav loses to that. Then we, crap, I missed one. I knew I missed one. Yeah, okay, that will be the last one as soon as I find it. Then coming to us from, who was it? Lukezilla, Kiru versus Mega Tyranitar. And now Mega Tyranitar in a lore, at least from Pokedex entries, is stated to basically be indestructible. Like, you cannot damage it. But from Pokemon gameplay, we know that's complete bullshit. Kiru, though, literally went toe-to-toe with Millennium Godzilla, and is also, literally has the Absolute Zero Cannon, which literally can produce things to Absolute Zero. Yeah, no, Tyranitar is dead. That leads us to our last one from RO3 Killer 21, I think it is. And that is Kratos versus Godzilla. Now you might think, well, wait, why is this a speedrun? This should be its own video. Because there's only two ways you can look at the fight. A Godzilla who goes all the way to Ultima's level of power, or Godzilla who doesn't. If it's a Godzilla who doesn't, Kratos might struggle with something as powerful as, say, like Shin Godzilla, who constantly evolves. Godzilla, legendary Godzilla, who literally blew a hole in the planet. But he's still beaten individuals who threatened entire realms of existence. So even though he'd struggle against the Godzilla, I don't think he'd straight out lose to any lesser Godzilla. Ultima, however, because of the causality manipulation, Kratos has nothing to deal with that. He has nothing that affects causality, or nothing to counter causality manipulation. So I have to go with an Ultima Godzilla if we're going that route. Either way, though, yeah. So it's really a 50-50 answer. It's either Kratos or it's Godzilla, but it all depends on the version you're using. But if we use like almost every version you have, most of the versions of Godzilla would lose to Kratos. It would be a long, drawn-out fight. I think the only versions I could see legit winning would be Ultima, obviously. Would be possibly some of the comic versions, like when Godzilla went to hell. That version could probably win. I I don't know if I'd even argue Godzilla Earth could win. Though Godzilla Earth's abilities are something, again, Kratos is not really used to. So maybe Godzilla Earth? Because he could just literally keep hitting with an atomic breath. Which is a power, an energy that Kratos is not, used to handling. So maybe that one? Shin Godzilla, I think, would just go down too quick to evolve to beat him. That, I think, would be the only issue with Shin Godzilla. But otherwise, he would definitely beat Showa era. He'd definitely beat Heisei era. Millennium era did survive a black hole to the face, so that would definitely be a fight. And he survived the Absolute Zero Cannon. Ooh. The more I'm thinking on it, the more... Because we haven't seen Kratos fight that kind of power before. So the more I'm thinking on it, the more it actually might just be Godzilla who wins it overall. And then, of course, you have Legendary, who can blow a hole straight through the center of the planet. And that was before he got the evolved form. So you know what? I actually am now going to lean this into the boat of Godzilla wins. I think, though, it's just a tip over the scales, though. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you for the next speed round. I'll see you tomorrow for the next Who Would Win. And see you next time.